Hi, I'm Daniel Cunningham, CEO of Leonardo 24/7, and today we're going to talk about how to run a property management company the right way. Well, I've been on both sides of the table. I was director of asset management for Aimco, which was the largest multifamily REIT in the country at the time I was there. So I've been on the owner's side. But I also started a property management company for a developer in Los Angeles, and then ran my own management company for a period of time after that. So I've been in the trenches on the management side. I first have to say, I think property management is one of the most difficult career paths you can take. I think it's one of the most underappreciated professions. The level of expertise that community managers and service managers are expected to have in order to really properly oversee an asset is far beyond what most of them have been trained or have experience in. And so the reality is a lot of balls get dropped. That can happen for a period of time and without much of a detrimental effect, but sooner or later, one of those balls is going to drop and it's going to explode. And when that happens, property operations, 1 or 2 months of a bad manager at a property can ruin a year's worth of budgeted NOI for an owner. And there's a lot of ways it can go wrong. But I think what it really all boils down to is this. Are the people on site operating the asset, are they getting enough guidance and are they getting enough oversight to make sure that they know what they're supposed to be doing and that they're actually doing it? When I was running a management company, we had a couple massive issues that really came out of not providing enough oversight or not providing enough direction. One of the reasons that I started Leonardo 24/7 was to help address those problems in my own life, right, in my own property management company, in my own experience, and then be able to leverage that same experience and that knowledge to help others. The reason that our industry has like so many regional property managers running around is essentially to fulfill this function of helping give guidance to what's happening on site and helping to make sure that those things are actually happening. Because giving guidance is not enough. Having policies and procedures is not enough. First of all, nobody's reading your binder of policies and procedures. And those that are reading it, they're not remembering what's in that binder of policies and procedures. So there's going to be a disconnect between what you tell them they're supposed to be doing and what actually happens, because the chaos of on-site property operations is sometimes overwhelming. And the risk mitigation that you want done, or sometimes the preventive maintenance that you want to have done, sometimes the marketing that you expect is being done, is falling victim to the dog barking in unit 301 and the resident below who comes in, who's really upset and is going to take the rest of your manager's day to explain how they're doing a terrible job. And that completely derails all of your process and procedure expectations. Unless you have a tool in place that no matter what provides consistency and accountability for the things that matter most in operating an asset. So not checking on preventive maintenance, for example, and I can use an example from a real client. So I can use a real example from an existing client who is an owner, asset manager, and they had a property, 60s era construction, that they installed brand new HVAC systems across the entire property. I think it was about 330, 350 units. And in no time at all, in under a year, those HVAC systems started to fail. And immediately the owner pointed to the property management company for not providing the proper maintenance in the form of water treatment that needed to be added to the central plant on a regular basis. And the property management company had no way to prove that they were actually doing that. And had Leonardo 24/7 been in place, they would have been able to demonstrate that we've been in compliance with the repair and maintenance program, we've been in compliance with the water treatment program. It's something else. And in this case, it actually turned out that it was a manufacturer equipment problem. It wasn't the property manager's fault. But that relationship between the owner and the operator was soured by then, because there was a lot of accusatory remarks that had gone back and forth, as you can imagine. So part of what Leonardo 24/7 can do is A, provide the consistency and the accountability and the guidance that teams need on site, and then B, demonstrate that that is being done. when things inevitably do go wrong from time to time. And that obviates 90% of what goes wrong in property management, which is they don't have the right guidance on site and you don't have any evidence that it was actually done. This can affect preventative maintenance. It can affect risk mitigation, which results in increased number of lawsuits, slip and falls, that sort of thing. It can result in lost revenue when marketing activities aren't happening or units aren't being advertised or collections aren't going out on a regular basis. So there's a number of ways where failing to execute on the basic policies and procedures can have very real financial effects on the asset itself. And if you can provide a way to have consistency and accountability, those things go away. It is why regional property managers have played such a key role in trying to bridge that gap between what should be done and what's actually being done. But what if, instead of those regional managers spending all this time traveling around and asking, did the filters get changed here? Is the water treatment being added? What if you have a tool like Leonardo in place that could track all that stuff for you? What if we could take care of the minutia? And then those regional property managers could spend time talking about things that actually improve the top line of the property, talk about marketing and talk about leasing, focus their time on figuring out how to raise occupancy, not in the minutia. Let Leonardo take care of that, and we'll let you know when you have a problem. And in the meantime, your best people in the field are out there talking about the things that make the best and highest use of your property. A property management system should not be confused with an asset management system. Property management applications are accounting-centric platforms that really handle the resident life cycle. And that's important, and it's a must for any competent operator. You should be using as robust of a PMS system as you think you can manage. But it doesn't do a big piece of what asset managers are thinking about when they're thinking about the life cycle of their asset. Yes, the financial performance is important, and yes, understanding where where you are in terms of being pre-leased, or where your average occupancy is, or what your economic occupancy is. Those things are important, and those can come out of a PMS system. But there are a number of things that are really important in asset management that simply can't be addressed in a financial accounting-based platform. And those are surrounding the operational activities that's happening throughout the day, the weeks, the month, when you're not doing something that goes in the PMS system. PMS systems are there to handle reactive things. Somebody wants to write you a rent check, you need to account for it. Somebody wants to lease a unit, you need to screen them. Somebody has a work order, you need to record that. But everything else that's happening at that property is proactive. Things you're doing to be a good steward of that asset. And these are operational tasks that don't belong as work orders, or they're not accounting related. They are going out and inspecting for trip hazards, or doing a lighting inspection, or making sure that the website is up to date and that all the latest photos of all the interior units is all posted, and that the email is correct, and auditing those sorts of things. Internal reporting, like when do expenses and when do commissions need to be reported to the corporate office. There are operational things that are involved in asset management that you can only capture if you have a platform that is tracking what people are doing on a regular basis. That's where Leonardo 24/7 comes in. So preventative maintenance and risk mitigation and marketing and leasing and just operational tasks, walking the tour path to make sure that the model unit looks good. Like, that's something that needs to be happening on a regular basis. And some of that happens only if it's actually measured and monitored. And Leonardo 24/7 can be there to give them the guidance and then make sure that that's actually happening. And so to an asset manager, what they want to receive alongside their financial reports is they want to receive evidence that all the other things in your policies and procedures manual is being done. So printing out a report that shows all the inspections that were done, or all the times the property was walked and looked for leaks in the irrigation system. I mean, those sorts of things matter at the end of the day. They're not always reflected in the top line, but to an asset manager, who thinks about asset preservation, who thinks about trying to make sure that they're not at risk for lawsuits or at risk of equipment failures because preventive maintenance isn't happening, to them this stuff really matters. And this kind of activity really lives outside of an accounting platform. And until now, there's not been really a good way to track that. People have tried Excel or clipboards, but when you have a platform like Leonardo 24/7 who can track workflows and tasks and document management and communications between community managers or between regional property managers and the people that report to them, when you have one platform where all of this sort of central source of truth can be provided to the operators on a daily basis that says, here's what you need to be doing, here's how you do it, and if you need help, here's where we can give you help. That's a game changer when it comes to providing kind of both sides of the property operations equation. It's impressive to see the difference between a property management company who really understands and takes seriously the importance of the operations side of the asset, who's not just focused on leasing and marketing, but is also placing equal import on the operational asset-centric tasks that tend to be more proactive in nature. Inspections that you need to do to mitigate risk, or preventive maintenance that needs to be done, or putting some controls around how often the standards are for the tour path are measured, or a model unit itself. We have a couple clients who just really exemplify this, and the results and their reputation in the industry, I think, reflect it. Greystar, one of our early clients, we're one of the few pieces of software that they ever rolled out across their entire portfolio. And the reason that they did that was, if lightning strikes in any regular real estate owner's portfolio, the size of Greystar is such that I feel like lightning strikes there on a daily basis. And so they're keenly aware of the risks in operating real estate, and they are keenly aware of the responsibility they have to mitigate that risk for their clients. And they go to great lengths to do that. They have an internal committee that looks at operating procedures on a regular basis and is constantly revisiting ways to improve those. And now with a tool like Leonardo 24/7, they can roll those policies and procedures right into something that becomes actionable instantly throughout their entire portfolio across the country. And it really makes a difference in terms of the quality of their operations. Bozzuto is another great example. Bozzuto has a tremendous reputation in the industry, and it's because they care greatly about the quality of their operations, not just what their occupancy reads across the line. They care greatly that they are doing what they need to be doing to make sure they're preserving asset value, they're mitigating risk, and it shows. And Bozzuto's another client of ours who really instantly embraced the ability of Leonardo 24/7 to take Bozzuto's core values and make sure that they are exemplified at every property across the country, no matter who the manager is, no matter how long they've been with Bozzuto. Leonardo 24/7 can make sure that we're giving them guidance that Bozzuto wants to make sure they're given to be in compliance with their own internal standards, policies, and procedures. And by doing that, we create consistency and accountability and trust between Bozzuto and their third-party clients. We have seen other clients who are not so dedicated to that process, and getting them up and running with Leo takes longer. And you can tell that they're not used to being held to the same standard of operations. And it doesn't mean that they're not doing a good job to their clients, but it can mean that it's not always happening in a consistent basis, or that there aren't holes on the operations side that, maybe nobody has just noticed, or maybe it's not come back to bite anybody yet, but there's exposure there. And by putting Leonardo 24/7 in place, our clients can mitigate that exposure. Clients can raise the level of their operations to the level of some of the best operators in the country who think always consistently about accountability and quality of operations. I'm Daniel Cunningham, CEO of Leonardo 24/7. Thanks for joining us as we discussed how to run a property management company the right way. For For more information on Leonardo 24/7, please visit us at www.leonardo247.com and ask for a demo.